Welcome everyone. Thanks for jumping online with us for our third of 4 Lead Her Drop-In Masterclass online sessions. I would like to acknowledge that we are hosting this online series from the lands of the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians, where we pay our respects to the elders both past and present. So today's topic is empowering female leadership in surfing, where we have 5 amazing leaders and role models online tonight to speak to us on a Q&A panel with our host, Jess Grimwood, who will formally introduce them shortly. So tonight we aim to further inspire you and also provide some new strategies to strengthen your own leadership practices and really learn from the challenges that has come along with successes as females in the surf industry. But before we jump in, I do want to quickly acknowledge the chat box questions from previous weeks from clubs and surf schools, specifically those requesting advice on best practices around female engagement and retention. So you are our wonderful drivers on the ground leading and growing female surfing with us, and we really want to support and provide strategic guidance where we can. So as a heads up, in the coming months, the Her Wave team is planning on rolling out some research projects that will essentially help us develop recommendations for you, as well as suggest targeted approaches to address current issues. And a lot of those recommendations will be evidence-based on current strategies that have been effective within our network or other sporting codes as well. So we'd love to find out any specific areas you would like insight on. So please pop any of your questions for this research in the series feedback form on the comment section that Rach will allude to next. But thank you so much, everyone, for your ongoing support and the guest speakers' time tonight. I'll pass over to Rach now, and let's get started.
Welcome all again. It's great to see such a big turnout still, even on session 3. So some more housekeeping. Loving all the questions you're putting in the chat box, so please keep it up. As we've got a few panelists on tonight, and to keep things organised, just write the name of the panelist you're directing your question to before you ask in the chat box. So Jess and I will try super hard to keep up to date with them and address them all. If you haven't already, like Claire said, please fill out our evaluation survey. The link is on the chat box. We really want to know what you guys want, what you think about this, because we are creating more programs like these. And of course, if that's not anything, but sorry, by doing this, where am I going? You will go in the run to get an Urban Surf voucher. So thanks to the team there for donating those. Also, for everyone here tonight, time is ticking to claim your discounted accreditations. So everyone that's following the series have an opportunity to get 20% off any of our education courses. So thanks to Surfing Australia and Surfing New South Wales for that. Now back to Jess Grimwood. So if some of you haven't known, Jess has quite the pool room full of achievements. She has won an Aussie title in 2014. Jess has also been in Team Australia in 2014, and in 2017 went to the ISA World Games. So well done, Jess, and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Rach. And yeah, welcome back, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here again with you for Masterclass number 3. I've really come to like our routine of getting together and speaking about all things women and surfing on Wednesday nights. And I hope that, like Rach and Claire said, that we're going to continue to do a lot more programs and development like this going into the future. First of all, we did have Tori Gilkinson, the judge, lined up to talk about judging pathways, but that, because of time differences, is going to be a little bit amended, and we'll work on getting a judging pathway package out to you as part of this series really, really soon. She is hopefully getting a lot of rest after judging the World Championship Tour last night. I'm not sure if anyone else tuned in, but it was a really big night for surfing, and I'm sure there's a fair few of us that pulled all-nighters. So very exciting time of year for us in the surf industry. And let's get straight into third session. It's a 2-part session. So we're going to start off with a special guest and then go into more of a panel style questioning, interviewing with the rest of our guests. So of course, all these women are incredible leaders in our industry in one way or another. And we also have both current and former professional competitors as well. So let's get straight into our first introduction. And so I'd like to happily welcome, originally from Bondi. In 1988, she won the Women's Amateur World title. In 1993, she blitzed the tour to win the world title. She won 20 championship tour events and 8 QS events. In 2018, she was inducted into the Australian Surfing Hall of Fame. And her personal story is one that's filled with adversity, so many challenges, but so many triumphs as well. And her resilience and persistence, her leadership, even if she knew she was a leader or not, and her passion has led a whole generation and pathway for women surfing. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Pauline Menczer to the call tonight. A very good evening, Pauline. Welcome.
Afternoon, Jess. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming. What an amazing event. This is absolutely awesome for women surfing.
Yeah, it's so special for us to have you on. I'm sure many women on the call and men, if they're on the call tonight, watched you completely obliterate competitions growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, and obviously were well aware of a lot of the challenges that you faced in doing your tour and professional surfing. So I want to get straight into talking. I know it's a hot topic straight away to kick things off tonight, but for all the ladies and the leaders that are on this call that are facing challenges in their own careers or their own personal stories, I'd love for you to give us some insight into the barriers that you had to overcome in your personal story, whether that be about your coming out story or the other challenges that you faced so far.
Yeah, I think for me, coming out was a really, really big challenge because, you know, it's a big part of who you are. And because I was in the public limelight, I was always scared that if I was myself, I wouldn't get sponsored. And, you know, within the industry, I actually wasn't supported because they knew that I was gay. And, you know, the beginning of my tour time was like when a lot of murders were happening to people. And so, you know, I'm really honest and open and truthful in one sense. Like when people meet me, I'll talk to everyone like I've known them for 10 years, 20 years, you know, just if I've first met them. And then to hide something of who you are was really hard. But, you know, I think I was truthful to myself on tour most of the time, except for that. And so I kind of always felt there was a little bit of me missing. And when I got interviewed for the Girls Can't Surf movie, you know, Christopher Newlis knew that I was gay and just asked the question. And then when that came out and I saw how it changed so many people's lives for being who you are and true to yourself, that I realized just how important it is to be a leader and be yourself. And then when I see someone like Tyler Wright come out, that just blew me away. So, you know, I see how much it's helped people just in general. I had one mother write to me about how her son wanted to watch the movie not once but twice. And she said then after you watched it the second time, he went to the school and said, what are you doing for us kids? Like I want a class here for the gay kids. And so it made me realize how important it is to be a leader and be yourself, you know, believe in who you are and be comfortable with it.
Oh, I have goosebumps just hearing you talk about that story. And I think probably just now for you, you're understanding, or at least starting to understand the impact that your own personal story and life has had on so many people, like you said, both men and women, and in the industry or not in the industry. Now, when we're talking about that movie, we've spoken about it before. Obviously, Pauline, you and I have had a few calls with the girls and setting up for the program. Did you know it was going to be such a big kind of spotlight coming back to you, because you'd been out of the competitive scene for so long, and you know you're up on the North Coast, living your life, doing your thing and surfing? And did you realise the impact that movie was going to have?
I actually didn't know. I didn't see it myself until it was complete. So none of us got to actually see like a pre-run, and I'm thinking, oh, what have they put in it? But when we saw it, I was really excited because they covered a lot of messages in there. And, I didn't really think about how the tour was until watching the movie and then pinpointing the part about us all being in South Africa on the beach and the judges are going, paddle out. And I'm like, no, just sit here, girls. And they're like, paddle out. And I go, no, just sit here. And I actually tried to do it a few times, and so did some of the other girls at different events. But at this particular event, everybody united together and didn't paddle out. And then from that point on, we realized that because we didn't go out and we didn't get fined, which is what we were worried about, and we're true to ourselves, we realised it's time now to have a representative. And not long after that, we all picked someone to represent us. And then, like, it really changed in a big way from that point on. As soon as we got our own representative, women surfing just really took off. So, we've seen the slow change. And then when I see things like what's happening tonight, I just see how, a big part of being a leader is coming together and helping each other and being mentors for each other. And that's how you grow, definitely.
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head with that one. And when we've spoken about as well, going back to other conversations before this, you spoke about the fact that you didn't actually even realize you were being a leader. And it kind of ties into Lane said in our first session that sometimes we are helping a tree to grow that we're never going to sit under the shade of. Fortunately for you, like you said tonight, you can see this whole generation below you, plus the ones, if they didn't know the whole story before, they do now since the movie. Were you aware of the massive changes or the leadership style that you were going into the tour with? Like, so if you want to call it a protest on the beach in South Africa, did you kind of go, yes, I'm taking the sword here, I'm going out in front? Or was it just that truth to yourself that you've spoken about before?
I think it was actually Perry Hatchett was the head judge at the time. And I remember we all had a meeting in France, and a lot of the girls were whinging about how awful they thought the judging was. And in that meeting, Perry said, do you know that the only person that actually whinges and complains about the way we judge is Pauline? And so at that point, I realized you can be honest and you can speak up and be true to yourself and say things. And even though you're scared, like we all have fear of, like being scored lower because you're speaking up, and maybe also being gay, all those things just made me stronger and stronger. So when I had things against me, I'm like, I still had that belief, I suppose. And it just made me realize that you can just keep on speaking the truth and get places with it. And so when all the girls had the meetings together, there was like some really hot moments as well, because everyone was so passionate about the things that they believed in. But we managed to come together and push for, the many basic things of like just going in good surf, like the guys were surfing, instead of waiting for the wind to come up. Well, quick, throw the women on now. And so that was, the women leading other women. So, to lead each other is absolutely amazing. And again, that's where it all started turning around, was just helping each other.
Oh, it's such an incredible story. And I feel like we could do hours and hours of talking about all the little bits and pieces that have happened along the way so far. But I want to go back to talking about maybe more recreational amateur surfing and ask you, for all the club girls and the board rider women that have tuned in today and tonight, do you have any tips for them that would help improve their surfing in the lineup? I know you're quite involved with people that maybe just started their surfing journey. Is there anything particularly that you could kind of offer them as advice to, beginning their surfing journey?
So I say to everyone that you should try to pick a few friends to surf with. And so, like, if you don't have one that day, you have another. And it's really good to pick someone that you're kind of a little bit competitive with, because I remember many years ago Kelly Slater saying the best surfer is the biggest show off. And it is true. I'm sure all of you will say at some point you've done a good turn and you quickly look around to see who saw it. So, to surf with each other and encourage each other, and don't be scared to also say to each other what you think they did wrong. So, often I'll be surfing at a beach break, and like, I love to try and share my knowledge. And I'll say to people, like, I hope you don't mind if I give you a bit of a hint, like, I think you should bend your knees more there, or if you're going for a barrel, lift your chin up, because if you look down, your bum's going to stick up. So just little things like that. I always believe in don't be scared to give each other a bit of advice.
Oh, I hope that I get to share a surf session with you, because I would happily take as much advice as I can from a world champion any time of the day. But Pauline, we might open up the floor a little bit if anybody's got some questions. We don't have a lot of time for super open slather questions, and like Rach and Claire said, we will get to answering them maybe post-series in some type of wrap-up packages. But here we go, straight up. Gidget Nick to Pauline, you are my absolute favourite of all. You are so generous in sharing tips and tricks. I loved your selling of jeans. There is not a Vinnie's I go by without thinking, what will Pauline do? Not a question, but there you go, some feedback. And if anyone's got some questions, we've got a couple minutes that you got open slather with Pauline. You can chuck them in there, and then if we don't get to them right now, we can try and come back to them later anyway. But thank you so much, Pauline, for generously sharing at least a little bit of your story. And I encourage you, if you're on the call tonight and you haven't seen that movie Girls Can't Surf, it is absolutely incredible. And there's so many moments where you could cry and there's tears, but there are so many funny moments as well. It's really worth the look. And I think you're going to get a lot of coaching questions actually, Pauline. They're coming in. Do you have any more barrel tips? That's from Asha Nidri.
So barrel tips is you need to keep a little bit of a higher line. Most times when people are learning to tube ride, they're always too low. So go a little bit higher on the face. And like I said, keep your chin up. And when you're looking for the exit, you actually look a little bit higher rather than lower.
I'm writing that down. That's one. That's definitely going straight into the tip book. And we've got another question. One last question, I think, for the moment. Antoinette Murphy from Bondi Girls Surf Riders. Hello, Antoinette. We're seeing you every week. Welcome back. Where did you have your best surf, Pauline, of your life? That's what she'd like to know.
Best surf I'd probably say, I really love Winky Pop. I've just had absolutely amazing surfs at Winky Pop, and that was not competing. It was just free surfing.
So down at Bells Beach, if you haven't been down there or anything, it's just to the, what is it, just up from Bells Point, the next point along?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. You've got plenty of questions going in there, and I'm sure we'll make sure we communicate all of them to you as well, Pauline. But for now, we'll have to leave it there. And thank you so much for sharing your story and giving some barrel tips and answering some questions, Pauline.
You're welcome.
There we go. Thank you very much. So let's move straight on into our next guest. So the next group of women on this panel style, we're going to have a bit of a shorter intro with and a bit of a quicker question style. So we might not have as much time at the end, but do feel free to keep pushing those questions through, and Claire and Rach will get to them. And like I said, there's plenty of stuff going on with the Lead Her program movement. So our next guest, Kate Moran, the first female president of Manly Malibu Club, born and bred in Manly. She enjoyed sport from a very early age. Her dad was a member of the club as well. And Kate also found water polo and played in the Australian Water Polo League for 8 years. So she enjoys surfing and loving being able to help others in the club to push their comfort zones and to enjoy themselves. I think helping to grow the juniors and the female side of the club is a big reason why we've asked her to come on tonight and speak to all. So it's my pleasure to welcome Kate to tonight's panel. Hello, Kate.
Hey, Jess, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I've seen a few panels that you've already spoken on. I know you have plenty of your fellow Board Rider Club members that you are the captain for that have come onto the call tonight. And you're such an inspiration and a success already when we talk about women and leadership and board riders. So I'd love to get straight into some questions with you. What worked best to initially attract more female participation in the Board Riders Club? So we've had that question come up in the last few classes, so it'd be nice to just jump straight into that as someone who's had a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, definitely. So I know, like, when I started the club, like during the club, like we've always had issues with getting female surfers and even junior surfers because we're longboarders. It's not, everyone's goes the shortboard kind of route. So I guess we pretty much give us registration for free. So instead of having, to pay a yearly fee, we just say, look, scrap that for the girls and the juniors. And then each month when you turn up, you just pay just your monthly comp fee, which is only, $10 a month. So that way, if you want to try it, you're not spending all your money at the beginning of the season and then going, oh, I don't like that, I've just wasted all my money. Or people will be like, I don't want to pay because I don't like it, what happens? So even just having that low kind of cost involved just makes it more appealing to get people in. So they're not, and then once they have that first turn of like, all right, that wasn't too bad. Like, it's not it's a bit scary at first because it's a new situation and you're like, hold on, how does a comp work? But once you get that moment, like once they've had that first rush and they're like, okay, and you're like, you got another heat, and they're like, oh, cool, okay, I've got to do it again. So you get the excitement and the blood. And then once you're in that competition vibe and just down at the comps, like everyone has fun. So that's when you create the feeling and you've also got to lead and introduce people to other people and get them involved, really. And then once they chat to one person, oh, they're pretty cool. Oh, they're pretty cool. And you kind of all surf. So at the end of the day, surfing brings everyone together. So it kind of works in that sense.
It's so interesting to hear that from you because we have had that across a lot of the sessions. A lot of members of Board Riders Clubs that are maybe working on committees or speaking from a point where they're the only female in their Board Riders Club. They've been asking, like, how do they initially attract people into that club? And I think that's such a great strategy to use straight up, is just get that money thing, either subsidise it or get rid of it altogether, and that will hook them straight away. And then, like you said, once you're there, you're amongst surfers and you're amongst community and you've made welcome. It's so such a good way to enjoy surfing. So my next question to you would be, when we do have female members that are coming into clubland or board riders surfing that don't necessarily want to compete, have you come up with any type of strategies or different roles to cater for those ladies or young girls or older women that don't actually want to be competitive in the club? Is there a place for them in the board riders community?
Definitely. Like we do, I guess our system's a little bit different because we're longboarders, so we don't have our normal progressional kind of, you win a heat, you go to the next one, and then you drop out. So we have 2 rounds, and everyone surfs the 2 rounds. And that's really helpful because when you surf the first round, you put in with everyone. You put in with A grade, you put in with B grade, juniors, and the women. So you could get in that heat and it's a good vibe. So you're like, oh, cool, like I've got a junior, I can beat him. Or, A grade, I'm not going to beat him. But you kind of have that vibe of, all right, it's not too bad. And then it's just a fun way to do it. So you're not it's not competitive, but if you want to be competitive, well, you want to win your heat. So you want to make sure you beat everybody. You want to beat that A grade person. So I guess you can put in as much as you want. So in the surfing side of that, there's one element. And then I think we're just a real, we create a lot of social, we've got the barbecue there, everyone talks, and we really push that, community, having fun, really. Competitive is kind of our second point, and we are a really competitive club, but I think we just say have fun, enjoy yourself, and then the rest will come. So I guess it's a natural thing for us, so it's a bit easier to get everyone to enjoy it, really.
Yeah. And we were going to touch on this a little bit with Tori, and we will, post with the wrap up. But I want to ask you as well, because I feel like this is a really good grassroots starting level for the whole judging conversation and career. Now, is there something that you guys have in your club that encourages competitors to also, or requires them after their heat to jump into the judging seat, learn to judge and give back in the club days that way?
Yeah, definitely. So we make everyone judge. So if you're brand new, you're kind of not forced into it, but we go, you need, obviously we only do 3 judges as opposed to having 5, but we say everybody in, you have to surf your heat, miss a heat, and you judge. So everyone kind of is meant to follow that process. So everyone, when it's your turn to judge, there's 5 of you, at least 5 in the heat. So 3 of them will actually sit there and judge. And the other 2, you either be a spotter or you stand behind them and you learn to judge. So if you're new, we don't make you sit there and actually score everything and put the pressure on them. The idea is that they stand behind the people sitting there that have been there, know what they're talking about. And then they listen and you go, we talk about, okay, is that way better than that way? Or, do they complete it? How do they, do they just walk to the nose? Did they do a turn? So then we discuss, okay, if that wave's a 5, is the next wave from that competitor, how do you judge it? So do you go above it or below it? And then that gives a person an understanding of how to judge. And then once they stand behind after a few goes, they go, all right, can I sit down and do it? And then sometimes they just sit there and judge 3 heats in a row. And so once they've done the 3 heats, they feel confident and they've done it. So then the next part is like, okay, how do I get better at judging? And then it's like, okay, well, you can go do courses and then you can push yourself from there onwards.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you have shared that idea that your club uses. And for everybody on the call, that's literally how you get into judging. I know from speaking to other judges before and speaking to people going through that pathway, sometimes it's not that clear for women how they get into the judging industry or a judging career, but that's literally it. Becoming part of a community or a board riders club, like Kate said, and then just learning by experience and putting in the time. And it's such a fun thing too, like you said, the comparison that you have. And it also sometimes really helps you surfing when you can watch someone else and judge. Would you agree? Like when you're able to kind of compare rides and see actually what's going to score you more, do you find that helps the people that are learning to judge?
Yeah, definitely. Like so many people go, oh, like, can I have a look at what score I got? And they go, oh, I only got a 2 on that. So when they realize what a 2 and a 3 is and a 3 and a 4 is, and, if you shuffle on the board as opposed to cross step, you get less points. So I think when you're sitting there and you're talking about, okay, is that turn's not really, it's a little turn, not a big turn. So then people go, oh, you've got to really do this. So you got to actually, like, they see it more because you understand what the difference between a poor ride is and a average and a really good one. So and especially when you see really good surfers, stand on the nose for like a good 3-4 seconds and you go, oh, I want to do that. And you go, well, that's a 9 and you're only reaching a cheeky 5. It's like, well, you're not going to get the 9, you're going to get the 5. So it's definitely an advantage when you start learning to judge. Okay, well, what I thought was good, and when you watch your video back of what you look like actually, I'm not as good as I thought it was. It gives you a bit more perception, really. So really
definitely good. A different perspective. And I'd love to ask you this question. We're going off script, so sorry for throwing you under the bus, Kate, but I'll ask you this question from Kelly Sitterman from Surf Getaways participant. Can people join board riders clubs as beginners/advanced beginners, or is there a minimum level of ability required? I think that's a great question.
I guess it depends on each club. For us, we are open to anyone. So we've got ladies and guys that just, I've been surfing for a couple of months. I want to join. Manly's a really popular beach. So they see the club, they want to join. We're like, yeah, give it a go, have fun. We've got some people just go out and catch the whitewash, and they go out and they have so much fun. They get the 2 waves. Maybe they only get 1, but they enjoy the environment and have fun. Then you've got A grade, and we've got Tally White and Declan at the moment who are both on the longboard tour. So we've got both, sides of the spectrum, really. So it's good.
Yeah, it from my experience. Yeah, it's such an inclusive community.
It's inclusive. We're inclusive. I guess other board riders might I think most generally these days, some have got, I know around the northern beaches, you've got your different levels. So I think it is, you can join at any level, and just ask. It's the main thing. If you ask it, they'll give it, they'll be open to you about it, and you can find out.
Yeah, absolutely. They generally are very, very happy to get more members too. I know, with all the board rider events where you do the interclub challenges and stuff, it's all about club spirit. And even if you don't want to compete, you can always be wearing the team mascot outfit or flying the flag or whatever it is that you have to do.
Remember.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kate, I'll leave that there with you for this evening, but thank you so much for sharing so much insight into board riders, and congratulations on your presidency. I know that's a hotly contested club, like you said, an incredible spectrum of people involved in there. And if there's anyone you want to shout out to on the call tonight, please take the moment to do it. I know that you've got plenty of people on.
There's Melanie, Alicia, Sammy, and Luke. And Ayumi as well. Yeah, cool. Hi guys.
Well, she's absolutely killed it. I can see why she's your president for the Manly Board Riders Club. So congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story and experience with us tonight, Kate.
Love you too. Thanks.
Beautiful. Now straight on into the next one. I can see all the little virtual claps going on, so make sure, I love the feedback that you have for the speakers in the chat box. It's so nice for them to see that. It's quite daunting when you come onto a Zoom call with 50 plus people that are just staring at you, and you're just staring at a screen. So love the feedback from everyone, and we'll get straight into the next one. I'd like to introduce you to True and Jessie Starling. So the Starling sisters, they've become a bit of a force within the industry, and a big part of surfing and progression at the moment. So just 20 years old, True, you can see under the logo there, on the Lead Her logo, she's one of the top rated QS surfers from Australia at the moment. And her career trajectory will no doubt see her and her sister in that conversation for qualification, whether it be in next season or the next couple of seasons. I have no doubt we'll all be getting up in the middle of the night to watch those two sisters on the World Surf League. They're really, really mature women, and I'm just going to speak off the top of my head for these two because I'm so honoured to know both of them. They're incredibly mature for how young they are, and the leadership roles that they've taken in the industry. They've both been given a lot of responsibility and also use their own initiatives to take on some leadership roles as well. So for me personally, they are a big inspiration in their work ethic and their purity, I think, around the passion for their sport. And they're obviously very, very successful with their newly launched Murmur Mag, which is aimed at around inspiring young women and being that voice for women surfing. So Jessie also, you can see her on the side there with the necklace on under the surfboard. She is another QS competitor, and I tell you what, if you end up in a heat with these two sisters, good luck, because they are incredibly fierce in the water, even though they look really, really happy and friendly on the Zoom call. They are incredibly fierce competitors, and they work very, very hard. So like I said, keep your eyes out for those two on the World Surf League very shortly. I know that they're going to be up there right on that podium, and we'll be cheering for them. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you two to the Lead Her Masterclass number 3. Hello, girls.
Hi. Hey, Jess. Thank you for the kind words. That was so nice.
Oh, I could keep on talking about you two for ages. And, something I didn't bring up is maybe the commentary role. So if you have tuned into the qualifying series events over the last few years, you've looked at a few of maybe the Grommet events, you would have seen True pop up as well on the World Surf League. And I know Jessie's jumped in the booth a lot of times as well with the headsets on. So ladies, let's start off straight away with the first question for your little session. How do you balance your variety of commitments? So you've got, your professional surfing, your training, you're obviously pretty freshly out of school, you've got your Murmur Mag, and you've got everything else that life throws at you. How do you both balance all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot that we have to think about and kind of plan and schedule or whatever. But I don't know, we're so close to sisters and we lean on each other, and whether it's Murmur or training or relationships or friends, we lean on each other and try to push each other in any aspect. of our lives, which, you know, I'm lucky.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky because we're a really close family, and like True's my best friend, and if, you know, sometimes we're training, or if we can get ahead of ourselves, or, you know, sometimes you have moments where you think you're surfing better than what you are, like we kind of have each other to pull our heads in, and like if not, we got mum or dad, so it's good. It's a lot, but I'd rather be busy than bored. So
Oh, very well said. I'll write that one down too. That's a good one. When we talk about Murmur Mag, if you haven't seen it already, I think that you can have a look in the chat box. There's a link to their handles and their Murmur Mag. How did that come about? What was the inspiration behind that? And yeah, how did you get that up and going for yourselves and become a voice for women surfing?
Yeah, I mean, we both kind of felt that there wasn't really a narrative for female surfing, you know, and we saw there were heaps of magazines that were spotlighting men's surfing, which is amazing. That's what everyone, you know, it's a male dominant sport, you know, so that's where a lot of the surfing is. But we wanted there to be a platform for females to be inspired or be educated, or, you know, to have their own questions answered. And I feel like that's what we wanted Murmur to be, for whether they're a competitive surfer or a recreational surfer. And we wanted to spotlight those women who are pushing the boundaries in surfing, whether, as I said, competitive or recreational, who probably don't get that spotlight and don't get that acknowledgement. Yeah, I mean,
you know, it was funny because it was a few years back that we came up with the idea. We were driving home from the Gold Coast, I think, after a comp, and we were listening to a podcast, and we were like, there's not a single platform for just female surfing. And we were like, you know what, we could do this, but we were both still in high school at the time, and we were like, oh, we should probably finish school first, and then like COVID, you know, and I know COVID can be a negative subject, but it was a positive thing for us, and we got to create our own like little baby kind of like Murmur Mag, and we just, at the end of the day, we just want to inspire young girls and just be a voice for some people if they don't have one. So yeah, we feel really lucky that we get to be able to do that, for sure.
I think the beauty about it as well, for you two being still so tapped in competitively, you're obviously professional surfers both yourselves, so you have that relationship with a lot of the people that you're doing, I guess, like exposés on. I particularly think the last article that you just did on Freya Prum, like you were speaking about, maybe not that well known across women surfing, but has been around for so long and has done so much in the way of her competitive career. You two have been able to, I guess, harness the relationship with her and then create this content for women to absorb, and then to other Freya Prums out there go, oh, whoa, that girl's so cool, and then have that. Is that kind of the feeling behind it? Because I know for me, when I get to just consume all of your content and I just try and get all stuff women surfing, I love seeing the news stories on people that you never see, that people that don't have all the stickers and don't have everything on, you know, sponsorship style, and you just go, whoa, who is this chick? Where's she from? Is that kind of...
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky that, I mean, there's definitely been like female surf magazines in the past, but I feel like we have a bit of a point of difference because we're still competing in the industry. So like we get to see all these awesome surfers that you don't necessarily read about. We're like, yeah, let's talk to her, or, you know, let's talk to these girls. And it's just, we've met so many awesome people, and I think it's cool that we have a little bit of a different insight, or even, you know, we've met a couple really cool judges and commentators and everything.
Yeah, I guess as well, to add to that, like we're always there seeing it, and, you know, it's in that moment in time, whereas other female surf mags, they've got that, like we don't have any background in writing or anything like that. We do it because we love it, and we're kind of just like, this is exciting stuff. And back on that Freya article, it's actually a 3-part series, so there's 2 more articles coming out. I'm not going to say who it is, so if you want to find out, you got to read it. But you know, it's exciting, highlighting those people who put in the hard yards and go that little extra mile, and I guess for them to have that kind of acknowledgement, whether it be big or little, it makes them feel good. And we just want to inspire people to go hard and just be themselves.
Keep going.
That's epic. And it really does, it gives so much light and love to so many, like you said, surfers that aren't necessarily covered across media all the time. Now, True, I have a question for you, for everybody tuning in on the call about your commentary pathways. Now, I don't particularly know the answer to this question for you, but how did that come about? Like, how did you go from just being a competitor around the events to then turning yourself into both a beach announcer and a webcast and an analyst? And I've seen you sometimes also host live commentary. So how did that whole journey happen for you?
Yeah, I owe a lot of me getting into commentary to John Schmooper, actually. He got me in and he was like, yeah, we're going to get you beach comms, and kind of he just sprung it on me. And I was meant to be working as work crew for a Maroubra junior state titles event. And he's like, True, come with me. And just took me into the booth and got me straight in on the beach, like on the mic. And I was on there with Dylan, and I was so nervous, but I had the best time. And, you know, having that support and then kind of moving from beach comms into webcasts and having people like yourself, Jess, Terry McKenna, Michael Chris, people like that. And then I got the opportunity to work with Ronnie Blakey and Robert Bartholomew and Stacey Galbraith at the 5,000 here, which was exciting, and did some beach comms for the CT at Narrabeen, which is my hometown as well. Kind of getting into that role, it was scary. I used to be quite a shy person. I'm not really out there. I didn't really like talking much. I feel like this new side or new path for me in surfing, as well as competing, it's exciting, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and kind of just taking little bits from people like yourself, Jess. I've worked with you a lot, and, you know, finding that those little details that people take in. And I don't know, sitting and watching heats all day, I feel like it has also helped to enhance my competitive side of surfing too. Like, I feel like I've got that extra little thing on my competitors, you know, because you're constantly watching the surf, you're constantly watching the scores, and you're kind of predicting what the judges are going to do for those waves, you know. And I don't know, it's been an exciting journey for me, and I don't know where it's going to take me in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it will.
It's so great to hear your origin story, if you will, about that, because I feel like there's so many people that I've heard recently say, oh, I'd love to be a commentator, I'd love to be a beach announcer, but there's not a direct pathway to it, but big respects, obviously, and so much love for Shmoo, because he was the same person that got me into it in a very similar way. And it's going back to those first conversations we had about the male champions in our industry as well. I know we're in a female program and we're all about women's leadership, but there's the importance of partnering up with those males and the guys in the industry that totally get it, that are there for the right reasons, that are so passionate about surfing, and that will take you along for the ride and teach you everything. Like you said, Crispy, and there's this whole bunch of guys that have been doing it for 20 or 30 years that have so much skill in the industry, that are so generous and offer it. And, you know, even our Surfing New South CEOs on the call every week for our masterclass, like people like that help, you know, non-traditional pathways become these big pathways for women like myself, like you, and like everybody else on the call. So I think that's important that you touched on that. And the fact that, yeah, you might, it's quite a freelance position in commentary and in writing about surfing or publishing stuff on surfing. It's because you love it, you're in there for the right reasons, and your intention behind it is you're absolutely just obsessed with women surfing. So it's so nice to see that. I hope that sheds a bit of light for everybody else on kind of the commentary role and the Murmur Mag. And we'll go back to Jessie. What would be the skills that you found, maybe, I don't know if if you got them from life or if you've used them from school that's helped you come into this leadership role? I mean, did you know you're in this leadership role for women surfing, and then what skills are you going to be using in this leadership role?
To be honest, I didn't realize it was a leadership role until you guys pointed it out for me, and then True and I had a conversation about it. We were like, we're actually changing female sport without even realizing it, because we were just so in love with doing it, but we didn't realize that we're changing, or I don't know, making a difference, but we didn't even realize. And like going back to that, I think me and school were never the best of friends. So maybe I learned a few skills from school, but to be honest, all my skills just from the lady sitting next to me. We bounce off each other for everything, and you know, we proofread each other's articles, and then our dad and our mum, they're like our superheroes as well, so they help us out a lot. So yeah, just owe it all to my family pretty much.
Beautiful. You guys are so great. I think I would love to keep talking to you. If you do have questions for the Starling sisters, please pop them into the chat. We'll try and get to them at the end, but thank you so much for so generously sharing your stories as well, and coming on and owning that leadership role that you two are now. And I think you're incredible role models in such a tricky time, especially for young women coming into the sport. I think having two women like yourselves that are so wholesome and so passionate for the right reasons around surfing is pretty incredible. So thank you so much for coming on, and we'll go on to the next speakers.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, True and Jessie.
No.
So yeah, please be sure to chuck any questions for the ladies into the chat as well. Like I said, Rachel and Claire and myself will get to them. If we don't during the session, we'll do it post-session, and we'll collate some type of package to go along with our judging package with Tori as well. So do feel free. No stupid questions. Ask whatever you want. There's just completely from beginners to advanced, whatever you want to ask, chuck it in there. So we'll go on to our final speaker for tonight, Serena Adams. So the co-founder of Surf Getaway. Serena's mission is to inspire and empower women to reach their full potential through surfing. And she's been a leader in surf coaching as a progressive level surf coach now in Australia for quite a long time. She's spent her life helping others find their potential. And also I really particularly like the mantra of surf getaways, of, you know, women's getaways for women by women. So I'd like to welcome tonight Serena to the chat. Hi, Serena.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. And wow, how amazing are those two young women? That's awesome.
They are balls of energy, those two.
Oh, fantastic.
At events, they are just hilarious. And honestly, you watch them and they'll surf a heat, and then next minute they're on the beach announcing the under 10s heats, and then next minute they're in the webcast truck calling heats, and they are just, the only thing I haven't seen them do is judge. So I bet you that'll be coming up. But anyway, we'll get straight on into it. Initiatives for surf schools. So for female participation, we kind of touched on this a little bit with Kate Moran and Manly Malibu Club. But in your time and obviously deep experience in surf schools and the surfing industry, what have been some great initiatives for maybe surf getaways and just surf schools in general for female participation?
Yeah, well, I think this is a good topic, and Rachel mentioned earlier about there's a few surf schools on the chat, and they're, you know, that's questions that have been asked. And what we found in surf getaways, there's a couple of things that I think were probably more the priorities, and one's I feel is changing the perception of what Learn to Surf is for women wanting to participate. So that perception has sometimes makes women not stand up, not want to go and give surfing a go due to their own barriers and their own beliefs that they've got in themselves, sometimes fitness. So what we've found is with our programs is that we actually break down those barriers through our programs. We're building self-confidence. helping our participants overcome fears and empowering them through surfing and breaking down those fears and those barriers. It's not always to do with surfing. And what we find with a lot of the women that we teach, most of the time it's not actually to do with the ocean is why they've got those barriers. It's life experiences or current situations that are going on. So what we find is changing that perception, making it inclusive. And what we find that doesn't work is it's not a one size fits all. So for this to work, you really need to get to know your participant. And we've got ways of doing that with our coaches, asking right questions. Also from that first initial contact of a participant, when they first contact your surf school, making sure that's a positive contact, making sure that they know that they can ask questions, and then also making sure that they're in a safe and inclusive environment. What we find works really well is having a bit of flexibility, especially with our shift workers and with our working mums is really important. Things pop up, as we know. Forming a one-on-one relationship with those participants. And like I said just before, it's from that first point of contact all the way through to meeting the coach on the beach. And we make sure that our coaches are equipped with the right questions so they know what to ask their participants and start the conversation. So we have a little bit of a round friendly circle where, you know, why are you here? What do you want to get out of your lesson? And that sort of thing. So the coaches can make goals with them. So for surf schools wanting to increase their female participant and programs, if those couple of tips, if you do that, then those women will stay and they want to keep coming back. So the other initiative is we've designed programs for women. These programs are designed by women and they're led by women. And we find that has worked really well because our particular demographic of women that come to our programs, most of those, we're up to probably about 80% of those, wouldn't go to a traditional surf school. They have their fears and their barriers and stuff. So letting them know that they're going to be taught by a female sometimes breaks down that little bit of a barrier that they have and feel like they can actually relate to another woman. So making sure that they actually feel nurtured, and women can do that quite easily, you know, in most cases, in some cases. So what we find doesn't work with that is if you're running a female program and you've let your participants know that it's going to be delivered by women, and then you have a male coach. For this particular demographic, that can really make that customer, that person uneasy, and they might not tell you on the day, but the feedback you'll get is they probably won't come back. So make sure that what you're saying that you want to deliver, that you're going to deliver that. And the other thing, if you're going to have programs led by female coaches, what you're doing then is you're also practicing what you're preaching. You're preaching to the women, the participants, come surfing with us. We're going to provide a safe, encouraging environment for you, and supportive. But then you're also doing that on the coaches. We're saying to our coaches, come and coach with us. We'll help train you. We'll help support you. And then you can lead these programs because we know that there's many talented female coaches out there and we want to provide an environment for them. So that's one of the other initiatives that we've taken on, is about supporting the female coaches. The third one is ensuring that the program that you're going to implement to your participants is that you're actually targeting the right market. So introducing and increasing your female market, there's, a few different areas. It could be teenagers, it could be high performance female surfing, or it could be women over 30 plus. Now, for surf getaways, our main target market is 30 plus. So the message we're sending out there is, come and surf with us. If you don't feel that you're fit enough, come and get fit with us. We'll do all this together. Really supportive. It's a different message to if we're going to target to teenage girls. So that would be a bit of advice that I would give other surf schools. Those three things is really important. And after years of working with and teaching women, it works. This system works. So probably the last thing there, Jess, too, is don't bullshit to our women, to your participants. They're smart. They know. They're not stupid. So if you're going to offer a program, make sure you've got it right, deliver it, and let them get what they're expecting, and then they will be so loyal to you. They will bring more women. The word of mouth is crazy, and their commitment to you as a provider is, it's pretty inspiring. So
there's so much that I'd love to delve into deeply there. One particular point I'd like to point out that what you were speaking about is that retention factor, which I guess is a lot of the basis around the Lead Her program. Is we've got so many incredible women in the industry that are doing, whatever they're doing. Maybe they're a grassroots level coach. Maybe they're right up the top of one of the companies. How do we encourage them to become leaders? How do we empower them to? And you've given such incredible examples of that within the coaching industry. You need to encourage them to participate in a comfortable environment, and then you help upskill them and you support them the whole way. And that's how we build this such rich, I guess, tapestry of women that are in the industry that are just leading, like Pauline said at the start, just leading. So thank you so much, Serena. I've got one question for you. We're almost at time tonight, but I'll give you a question from Lauren from Joyce Mag. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
What's the oldest client you had and how did she go?
Oh, awesome. So it actually was my auntie, and she was 76, and she came up for a holiday and we went down to the beach. I had a women's class on at the time, and I said, come on, Auntie Betty, come down and, have a go. And when we got to the beach, she was sort of jumping in and out of the little waves like a little toddler would. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I've never been in waves before. So I said, right, that's it. We're getting you on a board. And, we got her on her knees, and, it was amazing. But our oldest female surfer that's learned from beginner, she started at 70. She's 75 now. She catches her own waves. You'll see her out at the pass. Just an amazing, amazing woman, very inspiring. So, age isn't the barrier, that's for sure.
That's a really good. I can't wait to see that lady surf out of the pass next time we're allowed to go up there. I've got a request to answer. I think it is Jackie's question from, here we go. Oh, Anne Jackson from Her Sport, Her Wave, Office of Sport. Oh, hello.
Hi.
She's asked, I think this is a very good question, and I often get asked it. I know so many of the girls competing get asked this all the time. Pauline would always get hit with this question. What are the best exercises to get fit for surfing for a newbie? Obviously, that's such a big barrier to start surfing. Like you said, you just think you're not strong enough. You think you're not fit enough. What's a good, three good starter exercises for a brand new surfer?
Well, I think swimming is a good one. Getting into a pool or getting into a flat water ocean environment, it's really low impact on your body. So if you're not fit, it's a way of getting fitter and just waking up those muscles and those joints and getting them moving. So swimming is a good one. It also helps you with your breathing. Another one is just body surfing, getting into the whitewater. You use every muscle in your body, from, your cheeks, your arms, your butt muscles, because you're tensing up. So body surfing is a good one. What's the third
Those are great. Those, I think, like getting in the water for body surfing maybe also breaks down that barrier of being worried about being in the ocean in the first place.
Yes.
I think that's really great bit of advice. And thank you so much, Serena. Thank you for your time and your sharing your experience. It's so great to see. For me, I get really inspired by having such a contrast of leaders in this program. I mean, we've had the Starling sisters who are just at the start of the journey of being part of the growth of women's surfing. And then we have people like yourself, and I know on the call, women that have been involved in surfing for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know how many years Sandra English has been in. I know she's on the call, but
she knows my mum.
It's so incredible to have that depth of experience and to have this platform for everybody to come together and share in such an open and a humble way. So thank you so much for joining us again tonight. And of course, to all our speakers tonight, notably Pauline, we appreciate your expertise, and I'm personally a fangirl of your career. So thank you for joining, and I'll pass you back on over to Claire and Rach to close out the night. I think we're going to take a group photo, so wait for their instruction and they'll tell you what to do. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we've run a bit over tonight, but we'll be really quick. Thank you again all to our panelists. As you can see, the surf industry is super diverse with opportunities spanning from media to clubs and surf schools. So I really encourage you all to reach out to our panelists tonight for any inspiration or information from them. Again, please remember to fill out that evaluation survey to go in the draw to win some Urban Surf vouchers. And then also with those education courses, we've got to the end of the month to claim that 20% discount. So contact Adam from the Surfing New South Wales team to claim those. So we'll grab a quick photo. Everyone's getting together, love it. Kate, are you right to flick through the pages, and if everyone...
Yes, I certainly am. Sorry, I was just trying to put your evaluation survey in there again, but something's going wrong. But let's just do the photo. Alrighty, everybody, we're up to page 1. So smile, turn your cameras on. Here we go. Beautiful, love it. Page 2. Here we go. Smiling, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. And the last page. Come on, guys, down the bottom there. Don't make me call you out, Mr. Huban. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Kate's internet might be going a bit there. But so remember to hashtag that her wave, lead her, so we can follow how great the program was and look back at it. So next week we're going to be talking to Michelle Mitchell from Surfing Australia around value-based leadership. So tune in same time next week for that, and have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.